pleased to bring you our feature presentation.
Kurt Lewin's three-step theory of planned change is being presented by Karen Davis-Smith, Guyan Gordon, Agnes Angus, and Layson Megoo. By the end of this presentation, you should be able to give a brief background about Kurt Lewin. You should also be able to identify the main features of his three-step model, state the strengths and weaknesses of the theory, and identify the implications as well as how the theory may be applied to the education context. Here we have a picture of the man who coined the theory. Kurt Lewin is a prominent German-American psychologist who was born on September 9, 1890. He has studied the process of change extensively. Some significant theories of his planned change approach includes field theory, group dynamics, action research, and our featured presentation about his three-step model of change. He developed this three-step model of change in the 1940s. He used the simple analogy of a block of ice to explain the processes of organizational change, which entails the stages of unfreezing, changing, and refreezing. These stages will be explained further by my colleagues. However, please bear in mind that his three-step model represents a systematic process of change. The main principles of Lewin's three-step model entails creating the perception that change is needed and giving others the understanding of why the change must take place. It also involves the actual change, which is a systematic movement towards the new desired level of behavior and the solidification of this new behavior as the norm. Lewin also believed that in order to change attitudes and behaviors, the person being changed must be stirred up emotionally and have a thrust to evoke such a change.
Now for more details on the different stages of Lewin's theory involving unfreezing, change, and refreezing. During the unfreeze stage, patterns and structures that were already established will be challenged. A number of things will be discarded, such as old behaviors, attitudes, beliefs, and prior values. Despite perceptions of individuals, they must discard their resistance and instead desire to conform. In getting the individuals in a state of readiness for change, they will be educated or informed of the reasons why things are done, how they are done, when they are done, and what the changes are. At this point, consultation is made with workers to get their views, and they are in turn given time to think or to process what is taking place. Plans are put in place in the form of objectives and time, along with other resources, and leaders and managers are assigned to teams at this first phase. The change phase, which is the second phase, involves changing the attitudes, values, structures, and feelings, as well as the behaviors of the individuals. Attempts made at this time to predict or identify the outcome of change is specifically difficult. Change agents will ensure the individuals are praised, encouraged, recognized, and shown empathy while they are being coached, trained, managed, led, and guided. Efforts will be made also to provide adequate feedback and provide the relevant resources for this phase. At the final stage, which is the refreezing stage, all efforts are to be made to ensure the implemented changes are used at all times. These changes are to be incorporated into the everyday operations, and it is expected to bring a new sense of stability, which will see employees feeling confident and comfortable with the new way. In order to make them stick, performance indicators are to be set and individuals' performances are to be monitored and evaluated. A system is to be established along with controls in order to check on what is happening. At this refreezing stage, individuals are given rewards for displaying new behaviors, and they are sanctioned if the old behaviors remain. It is at this point that relative stability exists.
What are the strengths of Kurt Lewin's three-stage model? The model focuses on how to move people through change. It is grounded in democratic institutions and values. The theory emphasizes group dynamics in change. It has the potential to improve group effectiveness in a stable environment, and it is central to ongoing research in the theory and practice of change management. On the other hand, there are several weaknesses that are associated with the three-stage model. It assumes that change is sequential and is always progressing. The theory may be suitable for episodic change, but it is not suitable for changes which are occurring constantly or continuously. It is rational and planned oriented. Also, lack consideration for people's feelings and experience. It may cause division in groups between those who support a decision and those who oppose it. And finally, it ignores the role of power, politics, and conflicts in organizations.
Let us take a look at the implications for the use of the model in an education context. Change can be directed, managed, and controlled. It is often said that learning is rooted in aptitude and interest. Hence, educational leaders must ensure that those who are participating in the change are of the right aptitude and are interested in such a change. Explicit recognition that change will be resisted. There are a lot of benefits in acceptance, admission, or recognition of the change. Therefore, once we know and recognize that the resistance to change is possible, it is imperative that we overcome this resistance. This is where, during the unfreezing stage, we must highlight the need and the benefits associated with the change. The resistance can overcome through management and good leadership. As pointed out, once we know resistance is critical, it is imperative for us to know that what type of change and management style will overcome what type of resistance. Hence, we treat each person involved in the change as an individual. Sequence of events also matters. The model also depicts that change is a process, and there is a sequence to it. In order for us to manage planned change, we ought to know what should come first, which stage is followed, and how to identify which change management stage we are likely in the life cycle of the change. Change attitude and behavior will follow. First, we have to seek the difference between the two terms. The concept attitude is more comprehensive than the term behavior, which include cognitive as well as action orientation, while behavior is defined only in action. Therefore, going by this approach, in order to have meaningful change, we have to change first attitude. Hence, change in cognition will lead to behavioral change. Change the context, and behavior will follow. There are various factors that contribute in shaping behavior. Change in behavior is owing to the particular context or situation. Hence, as education leaders, there must be an identification stage where we differentiate the context so that we can change the behavior of those who are participating in the change. The application of Lewin's model of change in the implementation of the 21st century thinking skills in education sector. Firstly, let's look at the unfreezing stage. For example, the Ministry of Education convinced the teachers and other stakeholders that there is a need for higher order thinking skills among students. They went ahead and had town hall meetings to provide all stakeholders with the accurate information about the change process. This is where, during the unfreezing stage, the ministry is ensuring that everyone has an understanding of the change, the need for the change, and what the change should bring. Second stage, the curriculum is then adjusted to facilitate the incorporation of the 21st century skills. Training is offered to teachers to enhance their professional skills, to build higher order thinking skills in their students. Then, students are taught in a manner that enables them to explore and think critically via the new curriculum. The change process is carefully guided and monitored by those who are invoking the change. Finally, at the refreezing stage, the proposed change is successfully stabilized and the culture of change has become the new norm. At the refreezing stage, students have developed the attitude of thinking critically. Hence, systems are established to ensure that the change is maintained. Also, at the refreezing stage, the change overall is also evaluated to ensure that what was happening before the change, for example, the critical thinking skills of the students, was not present. Throughout evaluation, we should now ensure that these skills are present to ensure that the change was effective.